we have really serious stuff to talk about, like the possibility that we could have to call someone Governor Swalwell. That's right, Eric Swalwell thinks that he is going, potentially, the rumors are that he's going to run for president. Reagan, I don't know. This guy doesn't seem like the best pick, although you do have to look at the fact that Katie Porter dug herself a really deep hole, who was kind of the front runner for the Democrats to run for governor of California. This is a state that needs help. You need competence. You need someone who gets it, who is not part of the woke left, and none of the people are done out there, I think. I continue to say that I believe the next governor of California will be a Republican, because I think there are a lot of people out there who, look, it's the state with the most registered Republicans. It's the state where we fundraised the most and sold the most merchandise from the Trump campaign. State of California, it's a big state. There are a lot of Republicans there who I think are still hanging on and holding out hope that the right thing happens. But Eric Swalwell says he might throw his hat in the ring. That's the rumor out there. Reagan, how do you think that would play for the people of California? What do you think?
Oh boy, I'm not sure if this topic is any more serious than the last topic, but you know, California is a beautiful state. I love San Diego. I interned down there and lived there for a couple of months, and it's like hurts me to say this, but maybe for the GOP, watching California burn in the hands of Democrats isn't such a bad thing. Yeah. Maybe it could be a very similar situation to New York City. You have a country or a state and a city that could be in control of two crazy Democrats who are running these areas into the ground. And, you know, I think President Trump made a really interesting point whenever he was asked about Mamdani, to the point where I was like, does President Trump think Mamdani should win? Because he would say that he thought it could be a benefit, it could be a good win for the GOP to have someone who's crazy in office, to really be like, this is what you could have, or you could come over here, you could vote for the GOP, and everything could be normal, everything could be calm. And so, I don't know, maybe that's a strategy with California. Should Republicans even waste their time running a good candidate in California? I'm not sure, but I think that's definitely something to consider.
Well, let me just remind everyone for a moment about Eric Swalwell. Don't forget about Fang Fang. That was his girlfriend who worked as a fundraiser for his campaign in 2014. She also helped place an intern in his office, and of course was also working for China and their government. So you tell me how that's going to work out. That probably wasn't a perfect situation. She was a spy. That's right. He currently has potential mortgage fraud charges coming his way. There was a probe launched by, or the DOJ, I guess, is considering opening a probe. Federal Housing Agency Director Bill Pulte sent Attorney General Pam Bondi a letter accusing Swalwell of making false or misleading statements on loan documents. So this is a mortgage fraud charge potentially coming his way, which could be a problem for him. And we also shouldn't forget that this is an individual, Alex, who was one of the top promoters of the Russia collusion hoax against Donald Trump. And that wasn't just against Donald Trump. That hurt the entire country. We had tens of millions of dollars that went into, you know, the investigation into the Russia collusion hoax, to only find out that, yeah, it was all trash from the beginning. There was only one campaign that actually colluded with Russia. That was the Clinton campaign. Hillary Clinton knew from the beginning, there's emails to prove it, that this was the goal, to tie Donald Trump somehow to Russia, to destroy his campaign, to destroy him personally, to potentially destroy, and as my husband points out all the time, his marriage. Imagine being Melania and hearing all this crazy stuff that they tried to accuse him of going on in Russia, which was all fake and all false from the beginning. Eric Swalwell, along with Adam Schiff, they were kind of the two that continued to push this trash out there to America. So let's make sure Californians remember that, should Swalwell throw his hat in the ring for governor, because I don't think they want any part of that.
Well, he doesn't have good judgment. He was wrong about Russia. He was wrong about Fang Fang, right? So that was not a good pick. You know, I guess beyond the mortgage fraud situation, which I have to note, Letitia James, James Comey, how many of these people, these Democrats, came out about your father-in-law and said no one is above the law?
Amazing.
Right? And like the best thing about this is that a lot of this has to do with mortgage issues, and I just want to say those that live in glass houses, right, should never throw stones. So it seems like, possibility here with his trying to get a deal with his primary residence in Washington, D.C. I guess the interest rates are lower when you do primary residences. Ironically, I looked at the requirements to run for governor in California, and you have to be a resident, but it doesn't say anything about housing, which I'm like, that just makes no sense. Maybe Californians want to hurry up and push some sort of legislation through requiring that you need to live there to run, have your primary residence there. And then I just also have to note, there looks like there could be tax issues too, and he still has this January 6th lawsuit because he has an Obama judge overseeing it that's still pending. And I went and looked at the docket. It's suing your father-in-law and others in their personal capacities for things like emotional infliction of emotional distress, intentional infliction of emotional distress, stuff like that a lot of courts are like, okay. So anyways, of course it's being entertained in Washington, D.C. because it's an Obama judge. I went in and looked at the docket. It's like every month they have a little status hearing. And it's like, this is just not going to go away, right? I mean, it's just, the courts are now the new political battleground. It's sad. My last thought is that I would love to I don't really watch governor debates really, but I think I'm going to have to watch if Katie Porter and Swalwell are next to each other on stage, because I cannot wait for her to yell at him, like, to get out of her shot, right? Get out of her effing shot. That will be pure entertainment. I actually think, to be sincere, like, we should start praying for the people of California.
Well, they're just such bad options out there, at least on the Democrat side. I mean, I am excited to see more information given on the Republicans who are running, and maybe they're not all officially in it yet. But I mean, Katie Porter seems like one of the most vile human beings I've ever met. She's physically and just personality wise, it's all bad. I don't know what she's offering to people. I'm shocked she was elected to any office ever. But if you really want to get people to vote for you, you have to have a little charisma. You have to have a little bit of just something to get. I don't know what she's got. Very little. Just to go back quickly to this mortgage fraud, the potential mortgage fraud. Apparently, it's very easy. It's very cut and dry. Either you sign documents to say your primary residence was in one place, or you didn't. So if there's a signed document by Eric Swalwell, Letitia James, whoever it is who has these mortgage fraud charges against them, very cut and dry. So there should be no wavering on anything. I think it should be pretty obvious to a court that that's what's going on. But yeah, let's pray for the people of California. Let's give them just a big prayers up, because it is one of the most beautiful states. I'm on the way out to California after this. I'm headed out there tonight, and I'm going to be out there for 2 days for a variety of different things. And every time I go out there, I think the same thing. I'm like, God, this is one of the greatest places in America. It's beautiful. It's got so much to offer. Can we just get it sane? Can we just make it a little more normal and just, I don't know, bring the gas prices down and do things, like not taking children away from their families if you don't allow them to identify as a furry or something nuts. Like, we just want the basics back there. So I'm going to hope for the best.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.